Hi, I'm BC Rieger and I'm doing a quantum porch sitting. I was actually going to sit out in the garden with you. Sun was out. I got everything set up and the rain came out. So I'm up here staying dry and you can see at least the forest. You can't see the flowers, but um, in a few minutes, maybe the sun will come out and we'll do one out there. It's April 2nd, 2020, and um, I wanted to just spend a little time. This goes with the series of choosing fear or knowing, and talk about the perfect storm that we're in right this moment. The absolute perfect convergence and connection and expansionness of the perfect storm that is unfolding, that's revealing all of what's really going on. And so in the storm part, there can be huge swells that may swamp you, that may overwhelm you. In the storm, there are beautiful images, beautiful pictures, beautiful plays of light, and more light reveals itself. And as the storm clears, the vistas that are presented are magnificent. So it seems like a good metaphor for where we are right now, what's being revealed right now. And I want to play with this. Yes, the perfect storm, and or the storm is here and coming, is a more linear. Um, I hold it as a metaphor from QAnon. um, President Trump has made reference to it, so that's included in the metaphor that I'm using when I'm talking about. But I wanted to take it from the quantum. I wanted to take it from the multidimensional plane and weave all of that in here because I know I have a knowing and a direct sense experience of that knowing that this can only be truly comprehended and integrated and navigated if we're looking at and using multidimensionality as our true north. So our touchstone, our compass, our rudder, our our ballast, our frame of reference, and breadth and depth of scope that we will encounter and move through and be as we are in this perfect storm. So we have been on the path of hyper accelerated consciousness expansion, the ascension process. Some label it that. Doesn't really matter what you label it. It's an inner thing that's going on within you. There are different ways that you can get more specific about it and explain it in different ways or grok it in different ways. But what's a good overall phrase is that we are in a hyper accelerated moments of expansion of consciousness, of evolution of the um, species of humanity, of the evolution and the energetic frequency that all the beings on the planet hold, and that Gaia herself, who is a sentient living being, she's actually evolving into her true full form of Gaia, as opposed to just the linear concept and construct of planet Earth. So these moments were already coming and unfolding fairly rapidly, although for many of us not feeling all that rapidly enough. And there are certain, in free will and in unfolding and in the whole vastness of, you could say, the play of the false construct of going forth from source to no source, um, the knowing of source, that there are certain rules to those games. There are certain rules. So on this planet, non-interference is one of them. Free will is another, and that goes for all beings. It's not just these group over here and not those group over there. You know, it's an absolute, just like love is an absolute, and transparency is an absolute. And we're moving into the stages of love absolute and transparency right these moments. So, anyways, there are certain rules, and you could say the Illuminati, the deep state, the controllers, the cabal, the unseen enemy, however you want to phrase it. There's lots of phrases, that they all are referring to the same entity, which is a collective. It's a kind of a hive mind energetic that's polarized service to self entity. And then there are factions within that. There are family lines within that, which compromise some of the faction lines, and actually some have crossed family lines and faction lines. But just to say it simply, there are some rules within that. And a rule was crossed of, especially at this moment in time with the hyper acceleration, of putting something, unleashing something with the intent that was unleashed, um, so vast and so potentially game changing, right at the moments where everyone was beginning to fully wake up and engage and really have a free will choice from a knowing context, from an absolute data context. Um, and that was what was unfolding around the coronavirus. And I say it that way because it isn't just that, but around that. And Source, in essence, stepped in, and with the other things, with 5G and other super ramping up of the last kind of ditch efforts to try to stop this hyper accelerated ascension and awakening and expansion of consciousness, the confluence of 5G and the confluence of the enormity of the fraud and the enormity of the lies and subterfuge from the lamestream media from all different quarters came into a crescendo that not any one of those per se, crossed the rules, but the convergence of all of those in, and absolutely I'm certain of it, unintended, syncopation, that is the amalgamation of the event that was triggered that crossed the rules. And so there was this beautiful source rising that was just, like a great twist and turn in a spy novel, or in a good drama series or movie. Things were happening right just at the right moment, and the light kept coming in just the right twist, just the right, wow, nick of time, just the right out of the blue, to navigate things in a stream that would bring us to this perfect storm moment. Now, on the linear point, the President of the United States and, the terms of the white hats, which also includes members of other countries, high-level members of other countries, organizations, defense mechanisms in other countries, to a much smaller extent, simply because there was so much playing on Team Dark, so to say. But with this line, this, crossing the rules, it also gave them, us, the impetus to go for it, to move forward, to try not to be thinking of going a little slower, getting more people to wake up, you know, having the theater that was unfolding of the hoax of the impeachment and the Spygate and Russia, and all sorts of things like that, which was waking up a lot of people. But for some reason, people were having this, propensity to stay asleep, no matter how amazingly ridiculous and absurd and incredibly obvious things were getting. Things were playing out in the theater that was unfolding. It's going to take a while. So, kind of this maybe the linchpin, maybe the click, the switch that was flipped was this whole amalgamation of things that I'll just say were around the coronavirus, um, triggered the perfect storm. So the perfect storm is multidimensional based. It's absolutely with the United States and President Trump and all beings who have an open heart and who have um, seen the light and the true, absolute expansive light, the multidimensional light, in various ways, and they would phrase it in various ways, had reached a critical mass, and an energetic, for all beings, a critical mass, that it was now time to just get this fully rolling. And so that's the perfect storm that I speak of. And um, it's not just on a global scale. It's just not on a country by country scale. It's not just around the coronavirus. It's source rising within you. It's the unleashing of your own innate abilities and your own sensory array that goes beyond your five senses and starts to really hone and develop and play with all of your other abilities, all of your other senses to come online. So in the coronavirus having been part of this bridge too far, this trigger that unleashed the perfect storm, and it's a perfect storm of revelations of what's really going on, which ties back to what really had been going on in the normal, back in the normal world, the normal life, um, and so much beyond that. Um, so in the components, some of the components of the perfect storm and the cover, although coronavirus is an actual thing, an actual disease, an actual um, contagion that's out there, and there are things that need to come with that and be done with that and move through and navigated with that. But in in that then being used in the whole big picture, the quantum multidimensional picture of the perfect storm, um, intended, I think, from the broadest scope and certainly from sources perspective, and perhaps from President Trump and others' perspectives. But more and more people were waking up. Finally, this was a bridge too far, even for many who were, like just sawn wood, sound asleep. And so now you can see videos of people venturing out and going to these purported hospitals that are overrun and going to, these lines and chaos and so on and so forth. They hear a news report and they hop right out and they go to that particular location, maybe that the news reporter is reporting on, if it's network nightly news as opposed to local, and they're in the same region, same district, but they're going out and they're looking. And there's a video, I'll put a link to it, that has a compilation of all of many of these people who are out and about looking and seeing, and sometimes the woman who's done it has um, juxtaposed the news report, the mainstream media news report, with then the person on the ground. um, Light soldiers on the ground, boots on the ground, taking information about this. And so a lot of people are going, this doesn't add up. Something's wrong here. Something's going on here. And they're thinking maybe this is just, maybe President Trump was correct about fake news and the lying media. Yes. Maybe they're lying for a reason. Yes. Um, what's really going on? Maybe the coronavirus isn't what we're being told. Yes. On many fronts, both the seriousness and the not so seriousness of it, the intention and the unintended consequences of it. So yes, and on all of those fronts. And so that's a layer, another ingredient, another, in a storm, aren't there different wind speeds and velocities and changes in current and the mixes that those forces will bring into the storm, and hence why it's a perfect storm, because it's a cohesive structure that is now formed, incorporating all of those perfect elements to combine to make an unprecedented magnitude of energy that is this perfect storm. And that's what we have right now. So with people waking up, with people actually going there, and this is people doing all sorts of things, not just videoing hospitals or something like that. And hey, get out there and do more of that. If you're nudged to go do something, if you're nudged to go, this is weird, I wonder what that is, then wander out and wonder, and let that unfold, whether you're using your fingers on the keyboard to let you wander and research or connect with people, or just give voice to, or give creative art to, or however you want to do it. But when you're feeling that source rising in you, um, so answer it, listen to it. It's a calling that you're being given. You've been given it for a while, but perhaps now more people are listening to it. And so that's adding another layer to this perfect storm, which I hold as a terrific thing, because so many beings will not have seen, even those who have been awake and aware and researching and doing all sorts of stuff for quite some time, will go, holy expletive, I didn't see that coming. And there'll be variations on that, and powers of magnitude greater on that, depending on where you are in your consciousness level, in your waking up to what normal life really was, and in how you play in and consciously use that which you are, which is the multidimensionality of you, your ability to look and see and function and read things, see energies, read energies, put different pieces, different dots together, and see the different layers in it. You could, it's multidimensional, so it could be layers this way, it could be layers this way, it could be layers this way. It can be all of those things combined. And so that's another thing that's unfolding. So use this time, these moments, if you're marking the concept of time in what President Trump has been discussing, the next 2 weeks, we're in, the oft quoted 3 days of darkness, although it's 3 days, sort of, it's 3 phases, sort of, it's a trinity of things that are unfolding again, a compilation of an amalgamation of a cohesiveness of event driven energetics rising that are unfolding, that in a linear scope you could look at as between April 1st and April 13th. And if we all follow those nudges, those wonderings, those kind of noodling weird things and incongruencies around, and we go in whatever that is of going, we be and we do what we feel moved to do. Take action in a way that aligns the core of all that we are, and all of the frequency signals that we're getting. And you can understand that more by a feeling of it rather than, maybe a descriptor of it. But if we do that, we will be much better prepared for those moments when the storm is breaking and the full revelations, although they're going to be keep revealing for the whole rest of the year, and they'll keep building the magnitude, and the breadth and depth of scope will keep unfolding for the rest of 2020. But for the first part, for many, which will be a shock, there's really no way to put it other than that. This time will serve you well, and being active, and that could just be sitting still and clearing your mind. That's an active, because you're consciously choosing to do that. It could be active going out and doing things, or like I said, whether you're creating different things, however that works and looks for you. And it'll look different with some similarities for all beings everywhere. But use this time and see if you can't consciously choose to not be playing with fear, not be playing with the frequency of worry and fear and freaking out, because that won't serve you at all. So do whatever you can, connect with whoever you can, whoever you choose, somebody new, some conversation like this, or the myriad of others that are going on, and stay in your heart and discover what it means to have an open heart and to stay in your heart, and reach for the decision that comes from you, because you're the expert for you. You're the only expert for you. There are no other experts for you. And you can navigate this, and you're not alone. Not only are you not alone from a linear sense, but from a multidimensional sense, with your guides, your angels, your higher being, your soul source, the source of all that is itself. So on many levels, you're absolutely not alone, and love beyond measure, and are essential to this perfect storm unfolding in a grand way that brings the true splendor and magnificence of the truth of who we are for all to see, feel, and touch, and be, and play in. I love you.